Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update video. For those of you that are new around here, every single day at 1 p.m., we release a daily market update where we don't just look at the things happening within the cryptocurrency market and the cryptocurrency market technically, but we also look at other markets, the macro, and try and look at where the crypto space stands in relation to everything and ultimately try and predict where we think this market is going. Now, you guys know that we've been long and strong since the start of the year, and that still remains the case despite everything going on. This has been a turbulent week to say the least. We will be talking about that. We do have a section in this daily market update where we are going to look today and probably continue to do so at the lawsuit. Some of the things that are coming out, like the fact that Gensler applied to be the regulatory advisor for Binance in 2019, the fact that they're trying to condemn Binance on the back end of a chat log in 2018, which is very interesting. That seems like a weak argument to me. However, I'm not a lawyer. And we'll look at, some words from Brian Armstrong, of course, CEO of Coinbase, and of course, CZ himself. And we'll do a lot of digging in that. But really, as always, I want to start off with the charts. I want to start off with this industry and what's going on here, because it's important for me to be a light in the darkness at the moment in regards to what's going on in the cryptocurrency market. It's my opinion that some of the layer ones that we have today, and Bitcoin has led the way in many regards. However, I do think Bitcoin is very separate from the cryptocurrency market. It's trying to do a completely different thing to the likes of Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, or whatever it may be, Polygon. But I do think we are moving towards a future where you have trillion-dollar market cap layer ones. So do I think Ethereum can get to $1 trillion? Well, it got to $500 billion. Absolutely. Do I think there's going to be other layer ones that can get to $500 billion, $1 trillion? We see Apple at $3 trillion. We saw Nevada on $30 billion worth of earnings get to $1 trillion market capitalization. Guys, the floodgates haven't even opened for the cryptocurrency market yet. And people don't understand how they can be early when this space has been around for so long. But if you understand where this space is and how what's happening today with regulations is very relevant to where it is and where it's going, this industry hasn't even been accepted as an industry yet by regulators. There's no real regulatory clarity. There's no clear framework. This is all coming, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, we've stated for a long time, in the likes of the US, this is going to be the very thing that propels it into mainstream adoption. From institutions, from everyday people, from institutions that facilitate things for everyday individuals. I think we are moving to a world where actually you're going to have the option to pay in whatever currency you want in regards to the crypto space. This is something that I'm actually looking at in regards to my own website and facilitating this sort of stuff. But enough of that, guys. Let's kick this video off. It's important for me to reiterate that and really let people understand that this industry is going to change the world. It's already starting to do so. And actually, we made a video yesterday where we spoke about a number of altcoins. And one of those altcoins was Chainlink. Chainlink is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. How valuable is decentralized, trustable, verifiable data? In my opinion, it's a huge use case, and Chainlink fills that hole and is the leading Oracle solution in the crypto space. And they recently partnered with Swift. Capital markets are waking up to the superior security and transparency guarantees of on-chain finance. Chainlink enables banks to interface with blockchain economies via a highly secure, universal connective layer. So we heard Larry Fink, and we looked at this clip at the start of the year, and we said, okay, isn't that interesting? He's talking about the tokenization of everything, of the asset class, of the derivatives market, which is a $300+ trillion market, housing. Everything is going to be tokenized, ladies and gentlemen. It's likely going to be on some of the layer ones that we have today. Perhaps some of the layer twos, like Polygon, we see making huge headwinds. We've already seen them get a bond from Siemens, actually went and put a bond on the blockchain. This is something that's going to come, guys. And you are standing in front of the floodgates right now with a surfboard, ready to equipped to ride that wave. It's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Let me not mince my words on that. Despite what's going on, the short-term volatility in what is a broader uptrending market with adoption and everything. And of course, you guys know on this channel, we try and capture the bear and bull markets within the broader, what we think is a large bull trend. And we've done a pretty damn good job of that thus far. So we're excited to work with Swift. It's clear that banks endeavor to access multiple blockchains. A common connective layer across the various chains will be critical building blocks for their adoption of on-chain framework. Chainlink's going to be a huge deal. Many of the layer ones that win in that are going to be a huge deal. Let's look at some charts, guys. So you ultimately know that we think rates are pretty much at an end, right? And we've previously looked at what happens when we get this sideways period for rates. Right now, we've got inflation, which we think is going to come out significantly lower in about, I think it's 5 days from now. We've got the Fed's rate decision in just under 6 days. And then we've got PPI on the day of the rate decision. We think all of this data actually could support the markets, right? Despite everything going on. We've got Yellen who's sucking liquidity out of the markets. But we've looked at the context of sideways rates with the markets. I'll very quickly show you that, and then we'll come back to Bitcoin. We will be looking at the S&P. So you guys know that we've actually got structure that takes us to a new all-time high for the S&P. This was the last time they paused rates. And you can see the kind of move. The one prior to that, the one prior, you were here, and you made this move here. It wasn't quite a high, but it was still very positive. We think a similar thing is coming today, ladies and gentlemen. The one thing that we're watching and we're eagerly watching is the yield market. Not a big fan of doing this. I'd like to see this top out and roll over. That's going to support the markets. Remember, we think gold is going to break out. We think gold is in a bull flag, and you're going to get new all-time highs for gold. JP Morgan came out and recently said Bitcoin is likely to go to $45,000 on the back end of gold breaking out and doing well. We have the dollar, which we think is set to roll over. Very messy draw as always. Don't think the dollar. At what point do we start to get worried? Well, if it does what the markets generally are doing at the moment and comes and takes this. If we look at the NASDAQ, for example, NASDAQ, very obvious place to pull back. It's kind of like doing what Bitcoin's doing at 30K. So you could get a bit more of a rest here. SPY as well at this kind of double top. We ultimately think SPY is going to go higher. We've got the context of sideways rates to compete with. And we think the cryptocurrency market is going to do absolutely sensationally. All that's happened here is you've ran into resistance at 30K. You're coming back. You're not quite at the neckline, but we have stated this as a possibility. Ignore the news and just look at what we previously said. And has anything different taking place? Is there any reason to really panic? First of all, if we take all the draw off, look at where Bitcoin is. How much doom and gloom have we had over the past 6 months? And look at where the markets are. Apple went on and put in a new all-time high. Microsoft very nearly did. Coinbase, I think, is, in my opinion, I'm going to be buying Coinbase at these levels. The SEC has done me a real favor here. And we think there's breakouts coming across the board, right? And you can equate a lot of this to the context of under sideways rates. So altcoins admittedly are getting hit pretty hard. Some of the altcoins we've still bought at a low point. Some of them we are marginally underwater on. Like Algorand, for example. I think Algorand has been particularly hit hard with the regulatory cascade that we've seen, which we're going to move on to in just a second. But ultimately, we do not see any reason to panic here. Let me just adjust this, guys. Do forgive me. You know, and actually, we this is very much foretold a regulatory issue. And this is it. And actually, I think that when we assess the macro, it very much supports being long, despite everything. There are counters, like, for example, 2 consecutive quarters of Eurozone shrinkage in terms of the economy, in terms of GDP. This has typically been defined as a recession. In the UK, we had this, and in the US, and they said, oh, we don't think it's a recession. Lots of interesting takes on this. And of course, you know, you've got China big banks cut deposit rates. There's a number of other things. Yellen, we've got to watch. There's loads going on, but we'll do more of a specific macro analysis video separately to this one. we just don't think that there's any reason to panic here. Altcoins are getting shaken around violently, but that's what altcoins do. That should have always been expected when re-entering the market. What have we always tried to do on this channel? We've always tried to pick good entries and good exits, and we've done a pretty damn good job of that, looking to enter the crypto space in the start of the year and get out of it last year. And ultimately, we still remain bullish and optimistic this year on the crypto space, and of course, more broadly, from a longer-term investment point of view, you know, we think crypto is going to offer some of the biggest opportunities that there is around. Let's move on to Binance and the lawsuit. We'll play a couple of clips from Brian Armstrong. Wasn't this interesting? Binance lawyer says SEC Chair Gensler offered to advise in 2019. He does seem like the kind of guy to hold a grudge and be petty about things, and he certainly is being petty. We had news that the United States has summoned CZ. His response was, I was told this is just part of the SEC complaint process. Nothing new. Also told I won't have to appear in person. No need to FUD. They've used evidence from the SEC case against Binance include internal chat logs between Sam Lin, former compliance led at Binance, and Alvin, previous head of BD. And it talks about how it's not a great look, but the fact that they're using a chat log as evidence to condemn Binance as a criminal organization, when there's nothing incriminating CZ in this, or really Binance as a company, just the opinions of two former employees, seems very weak to me. Let's play some clips of Brian Armstrong talking about everything going on, because we know, of course, that it was not just Binance that have been sued. It's also Brian and Coinbase.
Points. One is that if you're trading commodities, you know, that doesn't necessarily apply, right? We have actually gone out there and acquired a broker-dealer license because we wanted the ability to trade crypto securities. There's actually, I think there could be a big, robust market of crypto securities trading in the U.S., even though we don't list any securities today. And by the way, I think you're right. The regulator does have the right to come, you know, edit their thinking at times and come back and say, you know, here's a new set of rules, and great, we'd be happy to follow those. The issue in this case is that we're getting conflicting statements from the CFTC head and the SEC head. And then the statements from the SEC are so, you know, such an outlier. They're saying everything other than Bitcoin is a security. Well, that's not our interpretation of the law. That's not what the law says. And that's not what the position of every other country around the world, their financial regulators, is taking. And so I don't think we really had a choice, honestly. We had to go to court to really see if this, otherwise this industry is just not going to exist in the United States if we took that position.
Warning there could be additional regulation is one thing, but you know, bringing enforcement action on something you knew full well at the time was occurring, that I don't see how all of a sudden you make that leap. That just seems arbitrary and capricious and vindictive almost.
That is a regulation by enforcement approach. And, you know, we met with the SEC 30 times in the last year. They never gave us a single piece of feedback about what we could be doing better. We just got silence. And when we asked them, how would you like us to register? You know, we have this dormant broker-dealer license. Could we activate that? We really got silence. And so it's not appropriate for the regulator to come back and do an enforcement action if we don't have a clear rule book and clear guide.
Isn't it interesting? You know, I totally sympathize with Brian, CZ, and lots of, you know, the industry right now that has been affected by this, because it's just, I can't help but feel like there's greater forces at work here in regards to, there's an ulterior motive to what Gensler's doing. I can't help but feel like he's very much stalling the industry for some reason, you know, trying to hinder it to maybe help one of his, you know, backers, or who knows, but there's definitely an ulterior motive here that I'm sure will come out soon. And again, I don't think actually looking at the Binance case, and I'm not a lawyer, that it looks particularly strong. Here's another quick clip of Brian. He's been doing the rounds recently.
This was not unexpected. You know, we've been in discussion with the SEC for a long, long time, even going back to before we were a public company. We started sharing with them how we operate our business, how we list assets on the platform, how we think about our staking program. And through a large number of dialogues back and forth, they allowed us to become a public company. We had many discussions with them in the last year when their tone started to change.
Very interesting, especially as they allowed them to become a public company. A lot doesn't make sense in this. I think one thing that I'm watching like a hawk now is the XRP, the Ripple. It's not a lawsuit against XRP. The Ripple, Brad and Chris case. If you get a win for that, it really just smears the SEC and their overzealous regulations, and it would be a huge win for the entire industry. We'll watch it. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Remember, guys, the charts are king. Look at what's going on. Does it really look that bad when you ignore the kind of news flow, the FUD, the kind of emotional reactions to everything? And when you just look at it from a purely objective price point of view, we still do think there's more upside coming for Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency market at large, which we can look at by total. We still think this is a concession of higher highs and higher lows. We think this is going to turn out to be a more broader uptrend. We think there's a big leg coming soon. I don't think it's going to take too long, and I think this is going to be in accordance with the S&P, sideways rates, gold doing well, dollar going down, yields going down, so on and so forth. This is what we think is to come. Lots of predictions on lots of markets, but that's what we're here for. On that note, guys, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated, so is a comment. And I will catch you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one.